From the Washington Times, and I love how this is framed. This one's just for you, James. DOJ should be doing what James OKeefe is doing regarding Jeffrey Epstein.
Should frame that one. I mean, we are releasing, Pam Bondi did come out and say there are tens of thousands of little child videos. Did you see that?
Yeah. But that's only because you caught her.
We caught her, and then we reached out to her office for comment, and then she went out and said almost verbatim what we caught her saying in a restaurant.
That was that there are tens of thousands of videos of Jeffrey Epstein with children.
Little child porn videos, apparently, and all this evidence. And as far as I know, the FBI, the DOJ hasn't released anything, right? They released some binders a few months back. I don't know what that was all about. But so OKeefe Media has started releasing video and images of inside his library, inside his temple, some weird cryptic messages, some strange statues, and
how were you able to get access to this? Can you say?
A source inside the government.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, you're a reporter.
Yeah.
You know how it works. But what's interesting is that the people trust, us versus their own FBI.
Mm. Well, we've been covering your videos on the Epstein stuff at the Post Millennial, and readers are reading it up.
I got some heat for publishing this because people wanted names. They wanted something more severe, and I think we'll get there. Mm-hmm. But the sources, Tim, they don't trust the government, obviously. So it's a pretty cool headline. I like that headline. I just wanted to, I don't know if your producer or someone could pull up this affidavit in the show, but this is how much I don't trust the FBI, okay? The probable cause, they redacted every single word of the reason they used to raid my newsroom. Every single word. And that's just a raid of a newsroom. I don't have a lot of faith. And you know what everyone's been asking me this week, by the way? I don't know how to answer this. Is what do you think of Cash and Bongino saying that Epstein didn't kill himself? Everyone's asked me that question.
Or how about that there's no there in the Trump assassination plot?
Well, that's another one.
Yeah.
But particularly Cash and Bongino. Do you have a thought on that? The reaction?
I mean, I have plenty. I mean, one is that they're giving you the official FBI line because that's, as the FBI, all they can give you.
That's what they were given to say.
Not that someone told them to say it, but that they open up a file, it's got nothing in it, and so what's the official position of the FBI? I think in terms of investigating Epstein and potential criminals, the challenge that Dan and Cash are going to face is that if they come out and say things that are not backed up by evidence within the FBI, it can compromise their prosecutions in the future. So they're between a rock and a hard place. They have to give you the generic government response, even if, so it's hard to know, do they have a metaphorical gun to their heads blocking them from doing this? Or are they basically saying behind the scenes, if we went out and told people what we actually thought was going on, it could compromise our investigation?
Do you think that the FBI or the DOJ should release some materials? What do you think about that?
Yes. But the challenge is, if there are a bunch of co-conspirators, what can they release that would not give them a legal out? If they then say the federal government released information that was prejudicial and now I can't get a fair trial.
They can't interrupt an active investigation, so forth and so on.
I honestly don't think that's the case, though. That's devil's advocate. That's saying, like, why would... No, I think the reality is there are prominent princes and foreign corporate interests who are implicated by these documents. And here's one simple guess. A couple Saudi princes went to Epstein Island. They're implicated in this. And they say, in our country, this is legal and normal. We didn't do anything wrong. In your country, the stock will drop. People will refuse to do business with us. They will demand sanctions. They will demand we sever ties. And then we're going to pump oil and destroy the petrodollar.
Right. And Trump just had that great Middle East trip where he got an 11-point bounce in the polls from that as well.
So, right, massive. What if Trump goes to them and says, if we release the Epstein stuff, these nations are going to go against us and it's going to destroy these trade deals? What do you do?
I don't think the people of this country are going to stop talking about this. This has been 5-6 years.
Right.
People are angry, furious. Yeah. I get asked this question all day, every day in the Panera Bread close to your studio. Guy, hey, James OKeefe, what'd you think about Dan Bongino and Cash? But literally 2 hours ago, near your facility here. I think it's up to the citizens, the citizen journalists, people like yourself as well, to do the reporting. We have a role to play, right? The fourth estate, as they say. To bring the information forward. But anyways, yes, Epstein's Epstein's island. Very strange.
James,
Very strange.
in several years ago, you got that video of the ABC reporter saying that we had the Epstein story, we had it, and that ABC shut it down.
Amy Robach, yes.
Amy Robach, and that was I believe that was when you were with Veritas.
It was 2019, yes.
And then you had, wow, I can't believe it's been 6 years since then. Yep. It's crazy. You know, I just got to say, it's now been, let's just be fair, 4 months. So we got to give them time, I suppose. I don't feel good about what Cash and Dan are saying.
What do you think the probability if Kamala Harris was the president of the United States that someone like me would have been indicted by now?
2 seconds. Two seconds.
What's the over-under? Now the devil advocate to that is it takes time to build a case. We don't want fake raids. We don't want, but it does raise questions. No one's held accountable for anything. I'm held accountable. I've been arrested, raided, sued, audited. I'm held accountable, and I'm a reporter. So why isn't anybody held accountable for anything?
Well, to be fair, I don't think they're holding you to account.
What's that?
They're not holding you accountable.
The powers that be.
They're not holding you accountable. They're attacking you.
Well, there's an overlap because when they raided me, they leaked all my messages to various.
The idea that you're being held accountable would imply that you did something wrong.
Well, it means that if that I've done nothing wrong because evidently they don't have anything on me. But I get your point.
Yeah.
But I mean, in America, we believe in this right to a speedy trial. That justice, there's a speed to justice. Going back to your original question when you started your show, I think when you believe justice is based upon what people believe versus reality, what is true, that's when you risk losing your mind. When there's no justice, when there's no equality before the law,
that's
when
the
judge is breaking the law, that's when you start losing your mind. And I hope that we're wrong about that. I hope that there is justice. I think the people of this country have no faith in the system. And I've been accused of things I haven't done, Tim. It's like hell on earth when you're falsely accused of a felony. I mean, with January 6th, people were falsely accused. At least there was a colorable crime. In my case with the diary, it was like, are you kidding me?
Were you talking about something like the other day, the trial tax?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like what they were trying to put James through.
The
force you into a trial.
No,
right?
the trial tax is if someone commits a crime, the prosecutors say, we want you to take a plea bargain and go away. If you don't, we will seek a greater penalty.
I see. Okay.
And it's called the trial tax, meaning you pay more if you ask for a jury trial. The argument they give is you clearly are not remorseful for your crime, so you need greater punishment.
Right.
Gotcha.
But these, I'm going to say it first, and I'm curious what you guys think. I do not believe Dan and Cash will arrest any of the corrupt Democrats or officials who attacked Trump.
Why not?
I think it's too politically terrifying. It's scary. It's very scary.
So they're scared.
Yeah.
Scared of what?
It's fascinating because Dan gave up so much for this position that it's hard to believe that he, of all people, would be scared. But I think there is a beast for whose belly we do not know what is inside of. And it's easy to say on the outside there's nothing to fear. But I don't know, man.
I'm curious what it is that they fear. That's an interesting point.
There's a really easy one. A guy shows up to your office with a picture of your daughter and a man standing behind her and says, you will do nothing to upset us.
Interesting.
And then they just go, uh-oh, what do I do? And they were like, we have more power than you could imagine. You will not put us in prison. You will not come after us. And it could be some fat bureaucrat being like, we will, like, you have seen what we've tried to do. What do you think we're capable of doing that you are not?
Do you think they put everyone in a SCIF, a secure compartmentalized information facility, and when they get in the office up there and they show the film of the Zapruder, JFK getting shot, and they say, you better do what we say?
I think it's, the way I've explained it is Trump gets elected, and then they're like, Mr. President, you have a 1 o'clock meeting with, CIA. And he's like, okay. The guy walks in and goes, Mr. President, it's a pleasure to meet you. And he pulls out a manila folder. It's flat. And he opens it up with a single picture of JFK and slides it across the table and says, thank you for your time, and walks out.
Something like that.
Yep.
I feel like there's so much frustration from a lot of people on the right because we've known a lot of information for quite some time now. We were talking about a news story from 6 years ago. And the fear is the longer this clock is allowed to run out, the greater the likelihood that individuals will not see the justice meted out against them that they should. And I think that's why people are so pent up now because, okay, we have a essentially second chance with Trump's second term. But then what happens in the aftermath? What happens in 2026 if we lose the House or the Senate? And that's why we have to do things now. And that's why people are demanding we want answers and we want names as quickly as possible.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think right now we're in the administrative battle. And Trump's goal is we have to make sure we win. Only thing that matters is we hold this power for the next X amount of years. If we lose in the midterms, we can't do anything. If they launch investigations today, then they lose in 2028. Those investigations are gone. Pardons are issued, overturned. And with the seat of power, they'll claim Trump fabricated evidence and it was all fake and then start arresting people on the right. The most important thing then is going to be gutting DOJ, cutting these schemes to funnel money to various political groups, making sure, deporting illegal immigrants. Then the census comes up. It's a 5-year plan for now, 7 years to the next election after 2028, I'm saying. And make sure the Democrats lose their fake electoral votes from illegal immigrants. Get rid of their money funnel through these, Lee Zeldin found these EPA slush funds and also USAID. And then have the DOJ cuts go through. This secures the power. Then in a few years, you go after the corruption when your seat is secured.
USAID, Marco Rubio testified before the Senate the other day and said that 12 cents of every dollar spent by USAID actually went to the intended recipients. 12 cents on the dollar.
Wow.
That's craziness.
I think they were largely using that in the EPA slush fund to help get Democrats elected.
Plus the U.S. Institutes for Peace, they were taking their whatever they had left over in their budget and putting it into an account just for themselves. And they had $13 million of taxpayer money in that account. And they were using it for flights and whatever else they felt like spending it on.
So people that join these agencies and go to D.C., do they really, most of them, I mean, the vast majority of them don't seem to care about the mission. They just want to have power and
the sinecure.
money.
I mean, these jobs, it's hard to get fired. Look, I mean, as soon as the government tries to fire you, you bring it to a judge and the judge is like, give this guy his job back. You can just have this job, get your raises, work from home, do whatever, take trips on the taxpayer dime, and your job is protected. You know, these government unions they have a stronghold as well.
They put the judges in for this purpose.
That's right. That's what they did.
They have created an entrenched bureaucracy.
Yeah, Biden appointed
but
like
people in D.C.,
dozens of
they
judges.
just want power, most of them, right?
Either that or they just want to be left alone.
So
And
doing the right thing often is anathema or
Right.
runs contrary. Like, I'm really interested in your point about fear. What are they afraid of?
Dan Bongino?
Like, we need Dan Bongino or Kash Patel to be whistleblowers. They need to tell the absolute truth, don't they?
Well, I think I don't think Cash has kids.
I don't know.
He might, does he?
I'm not sure.
I know Dan does, doesn't he?
I think
This is the easiest path
I think he
to
has a daughter. Yeah.
the easiest path. It's just like that book Tales of an Economic Hitman. They go to countries and say, "We'll make you rich beyond your wildest dreams." The leader says, "Not interested." They say, "Okay." Then they say, "We're going to fund your opposition." He blocks them and say, "Okay, you still win. We're going to come and get you." And then they go in for the assassinations. For an individual, they'll come to you and say, "We'll make you rich beyond your wildest dreams." You say no. Then they say, "Okay, we're going to censor you and get you banned. If not, your daughter dies."
I've got another one for you. The FBI, arrests someone on my team and says, please lie about James O'Keefe or you won't see your children for 10 years.
That's right.
Now, most 99.999% of people will lie to people think the devil does this thing that it does. It's really about just keeping your children fed
This is exactly what I've tried to explain to people.
and safe.
They believe the deal with the devil, because of movies and TV, is that he comes to you and says, listen to me. You will have the finest cars, the most delicious wine. You will be a king. Do a deal with the devil. Sign this pact and I'll make you a rock star. That was never the deal with the devil. The devil was not a good person seeking to enrich you and reward you for the deeds you did in serving him. The devil came to you and said, the deal is your children will die or you will be my slave. And everyone takes the deal.
That's a tough position.
And in the Soviet Union, Alexander Solzhenitsyn wrote that some would have to decide whether it was even a good idea to have children at all. Because you were always put in this position.
Yep.
And it's a terrifying, horrible notion. But,
and they'll always say to you, listen, spend time with your kid. Leave the craziness to other people. And everyone says yes.
Well, and then everyone says that they're resigning to spend more time with their family.
Yep.
That's right.
They appeal to those base instincts.
And then the sociopaths who don't care about family and think they're smarter, better, and all the other things are like, this is an easy game.
I think we've just diagnosed the problem pretty well, actually. And it's an institutional pathology. But there are a few brave people out there. And I think Cash and Dan need to tell the absolute truth within the bounds of the law.
Maybe they are.
Maybe they are.
And that's the other issue, too, that I think is fair. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.